Hi, this is my third interview and today it's with my mother. um, may I have your permission to record you for this video?
Yes.
Okay. May I have permission to use your first and last name and your image for this video?
Yes.
Perfect. Now may I ask your name, occupation, what city you call home?
You may.
You may. May you answer them?
Yes. My name is Krista. My occupation is a human resource manager, and I call Shepherd home at this time.
Have you called a place home before this place, or is this like just currently? This is like just where you live.
Well, Mount Pleasant's my home, where I grew up, and my parents' cottage is my real home.
You know,
It's been around since I was born. We've moved a couple times.
but that was like one constant place you could always
Yes.
come back to. Understood. All right. How would you describe yourself?
I would describe myself as nice, relatively smart, and somewhat nervous about things, but not in a bad way.
Not in a bad way.
And sometimes underreactive to things.
Do you think other people would describe you differently than how you describe yourself, or do you think they would relatively think it's the same?
Probably pretty similar, but they would have their own opinions. Everybody makes a different opinion on whomever they're speaking with, depending on the situation.
All right. How do you feel today?
I feel fine.
Fine. How do you really feel today?
I feel fine. Actually, I feel, I guess, fun.
Yeah,
good today.
What happened today?
Because today was the solar eclipse, and it was really a unique experience that you got to experience.
I did.
In the totality zone. We saw it from work, so it was kind of an exciting, different day.
So, pretty exciting fun day.
It was, yeah.
But still fine feeling, yeah.
Still fine feeling and tired and ready to go to bed.
We're doing this pretty late. Can I ask you can I ask you to tell me a story about a difficult time in your life when you received someone's compassion?
I don't know if I have particularly difficult times in comparison to a lot of other people. Life's been relatively good. I mean, I guess maybe one of the most difficult times was when my husband Josh and I were going through custody issues with our son, my stepson, his son, and compassion in general was there. I mean, I can't identify anything specific or call out someone specific, but everybody that was involved and just helped us get through everything that was difficult. I guess our lawyer was pretty compassionate when it came to things because he is a friend of mine's father growing up, and he was really easy and helpful to work with, and didn't cost us a ton of money in the long run. So that was, I guess, compassionate in his area. But just everything combined with that was compassionate, I guess.
Where you felt
I think a lot of people are just in general compassionate, so that I don't notice it on a day-to-day basis. And it may be that I've had a different life than some people when it comes to that. I know there's a lot of people with much more difficult lives than we had growing up. So I don't know. Fading off.
Do you think it's easier to remember the compassion we were shown or the hate we were shown?
Oh, it's definitely easier to find the hate, the uncompassionate times, the anything that was done to you that was a detriment. Am I talking loud enough?
Yeah.
Okay. Because those are the things that stick in your mind. It's kind of like when you take a picture or you're in something, you're the center of your own world. And if somebody else is in that same area, they're not hardly even noticing what's going on with you. They're noticing what's going on with them. So
That's a good way to put that.
Long-winded way, but
Like,
it's
I
a
get it.
way.
Like, you see yourself picture, you're like noticing all your flaws, but you're not really noticing anybody else's flaws because you're so focused on what's going on with you. Gotcha.
And if somebody's being mean to you, that's something you're going to take and internalize. If someone's being nice to you, you're like, oh, that's nice, thank you, and
then
move on.
Do you think it's because we kind of just expect people to be nice rather than hateful a lot of the time?
I think so. Again, coming from our background, my background, I live in a middle-class world of white America, and I don't get a lot of the awful situations that someone in a city might, or someone that's fighting a different battle.
Yeah. All right. About the memory, about like when you think about the custody battle thing, how do you feel about like reliving that memory and like the compassion that was shown?
I remember the time. It was awful. Some of the things that led up to it were pretty scary for people our age. I mean, we were young, in our early 20s, or not early 20s. I say that wrong. Our late 20s, and didn't have a lot of life experience or things to be able to be prepared for that. But everything seemed to turn out well in the long run, and we got a good deal where we were joint custody, so it was really beneficial on both parties. We got to spend equal amounts of time, and there were a few things that were a little aggravating on our end, but in the long run, it was the best option, I think, to give the opportunity for him to grow with both parents' families.
Gotcha. Okay. Can you tell me the story of a time when you offered compassion to someone?
Yeah. I don't like to talk about that stuff because it's kind of like, not embarrassing, but you know, like, I don't want to talk about being
Like,
nice to people.
Praise me. Like, it kind of feels like, oh, I showed compassion. It's like,
yeah.
But, you know, it's like,
so actually in my job, I have to show compassion a lot of the time because I'm working with people that have issues with something that's going on at work or something that's going on in their home life. Obviously, I can't discuss any of those because it's confidential, but there's a lot of different opportunities to show compassion in that world. And I just try to be a good human every day, and I've helped some people with some areas when they have needed monetary assistance, or we've helped other things and try to give to charity and those kind of things. I mean, as much as we are able anyway. So just having that, to me, it's a typical sense of human compassion, not just not something special, but I guess that's a version of it.
I think it's pretty special. I feel like a lot of people don't really show too much compassion a lot of the time. Whether it doesn't have anything to do with the times, it's just a lot of people just don't. They're really focused on their own world. So I think being a compassionate person means a lot. It does. Honestly, especially, you know, because you have to work with people and be compassionate no matter what. Like, whether you agree or
sometimes I have to be tough though too. So it's work compared to daily life. And I always have to be compassionate to my children and their opinions.
Yeah.
And their friends and the things that they go on. I mean, we've had, one of my favorite things of showing compassion is to somebody who's different. You have friends that are, I don't know the right terms, and that's the hardest thing for me, is I don't know all the current terms, but they're not in the normal sense of normal. Yeah. So we try to be compassionate to their needs and mentor your friendships.
Oh, I had a question that I
Excuse me.
Do you think your job does impact how you show compassion, or do you think it doesn't really do much?
I don't know that it does. If I feel like I would feel more compassion to people, and sometimes I can't in that sense. Um, I mean, going back to describing myself, I think compassion is one of the things I have a lot of.
I agree.
And and as you can tell, people's stories and issues make me uncomfortable sometimes.
Teary-eyed would be another way to put it.
And if I think about their situations and how rough things are for certain individuals, or even people I don't know when they have issues with anything to do with kids, or pets, or
yes. I've caught her on several occasions crying to those sad videos on her phone. Which she'll catch me crying to a few of those too. They make me so sad. Or happy tears a lot of the time. It's the ones I like to watch. Let's see. Is there a time you or someone else needed compassion and didn't receive it? And like, why do you think that would be?
I'm sure that there is, but off the top of my head, I can't think of any. In my realm, I assume you're talking in my realm, not in the world in general.
Probably not in the world, because there's so much.
There's definitely times, certain things have to get done at work, so things can't always go the way a person wants them to. You might want this particular time off, but you can't have this time off because you're there to do a job. And if it follows the rules, then it's, I don't know, so it's this part, I mean, you're just gonna have to suck it up, sweetheart. And you want a job, you have to follow the rules. So
that is true.
I think I've kind of got off track of that question, but yes, there's certainly times when I probably wished for more compassion and it wasn't there, or someone wanted more compassion from me for something, and it wasn't there. So, to cite a specific example right now is gone beyond me right now.
That's all right. Do you think compassion is important? In what ways?
Oh, it's positively important. It's part of the human experience. There should compassion or love or understanding, it's all kind of wrapped up into one bubble in my head that says that every person is worthy of it, regardless. I am not necessarily condoning someone's illegal activities or whatnot. That not going there, but in general, as a general whole, people are they should be due some kind of compassion in their lives. Certain times, not receiving that compassion as a young person has driven them to the way of their life in the present, their past.
Why they don't get compassion now, because they didn't get shown compassion, sort of way. Gotcha. Okay, very interesting. And if you notice, I've interviewed both my parents, and both of them seem to have very different answers to a lot of these questions. And it's very funny, I think, to me personally, knowing them.
We are pretty opposite when it comes to things.
They are quite, like, she's the compassionate one, he's the more stoic, I guess you could say that a little bit. Stern. Stoic, that's probably good. I don't know, he's the hothead, she's the crier, I don't know. It's just a fun comparison for anybody watching this.
So cute.
Do you think sometimes we show too much compassion?
Probably. Um, Gosh, this is a tough one. I think that yes, there is definitely a line to having too much compassion, um, and in that, to say not necessarily compassion in the word, but
Possibly.
too much leniency.
Okay.
Compassion can also be detrimental because it makes someone too soft or too um, demanding of things. What is that word? The pick me culture type situation.
Pick me.
No,
Kind of person?
not that. That's but yeah,
but-
someone who's expecting
Okay.
everything given to them on a silver platter
Okay,
type
yeah.
situation. I can't think of the right term at the moment, but it's sometimes they've been given too much. Is compassion the right word? But
Oh. Maybe it's what we see as compassion, but it's something else entirely.
it could
but
be.
We know really know because we're not in that.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't know.
But I think if you're too compassionate or too soft on something or someone, or it could be a detriment to them as well, is then that allows them to walk all over you. Like, oh, I'll go talk to them because they're gonna always be like, oh yeah, poor you.
Yeah.
So
they're never gonna put their foot down about anything. Okay, gotcha. Do you think there's a difference between pity and compassion, and like how do you feel about that difference, if there is one?
Well, there is a difference, but I've never thought much about that because maybe some of the times I felt like I was being compassionate, I was really just feeling sad for somebody or feeling sorry for them having to go through that particular situation. But to me, it feels like a compassion and a love and a trying to care for a person. But there's definitely a line between compassion and pity, though, because pity or like making someone be less than you, kind of
can feel like it sometimes.
Well, it's like, I pity you, I feel sad for you, I feel sorry for you, isn't the same as I'm concerned about you and I want you to do well and I want you to have this ability or these things or an understanding of what you're going through. Pity seems very sad.
When compassion's more about love, maybe
keeping someone prideful.
Yeah.
While they're going through a struggle.
They're being pushed down. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Actually, that's probably one of my favorite ones I've gotten so far. The other two hotheads gave me very hot-headed answers. If you were to offer words of wisdom about compassion, what would they be?
Words of wisdom? I think you've given them when it comes to talking about this stuff. In general, this whole conversation has kind of given a words of wisdom situation where you want to tell somebody, be compassionate, but don't be soft. Be fair, but again, don't be able to be walked over, walked on. So I don't really have any life-changing words of wisdom, but I think just try to live your life as a person who cares for other people, and be that compassion or caring in a different manner. Some people can't be compassionate visually or comforting. Their compassion will show up in a different way, like what they say, acts of service or
the many love languages, the five
kind of like that.
Yeah.
But maybe not quite as in depth, but
But yeah,
in that way.
They have different ways of showing how they care and how they want to show compassion. Gotcha. Okay.
And maybe I should have looked up the entire definition of compassion before we started, just to make sure I wasn't getting it confused with.
She's got it.
With love and.
It's kind of everything though. It's just, I feel like it's just being kind when you can,
And yeah, kindness. What do they say? Kindness never costs you anything.
Yeah, that's very true. That's her words of wisdom.
Oh, my words of wisdom. There's someone else's, but.
Shh. All right, but thank you so much for speaking with me. I learned a lot about how I think you view compassion a lot more, and I think I think these interviews really help me get to know people I know in my life and people I spend a lot of my time with. So it's very nice to do this with them. Also because I tell them to be unfiltered, and they tend to do that, and it's really nice to get to know some things that I don't really know. But that is very like meaningful to me because it kind of just like shows me how like my family is and like how I can like show compassion with them because they may view it differently. How someone else like my dad may show like I may show him compassion, but he may think it's pity. My mom's gonna think compassion's compassion at this point. She's like, love is love,
girl.
right here. But yeah, if I have any follow-up questions, can I contact you again?
You can. I'll be found in my own home with you around sometimes.
Yeah, that is very true. But all right,
Thank you. Amelia.
Thank you.
It was very nice.
It's very nice talking with you. Catch you for my last interview with a stranger, which is in a couple weeks, I believe. Week 16. Bye. Wave to my camera.